welcome. This is our first time to ever interview in this format, so we'll see how it goes. I'm Thomas Grove with Design Exchange, and with me today...
Hi, I'm Amanda Kievet. I've been in Vietnam for almost exactly 6 months now. I'm leaving next week. I moved here just out of college and didn't know what I really wanted to do, so English was kind of like teaching English was my backup plan. And then I discovered a love of graphic design. I can't really tell you where it came from. I guess the people and the situation. So I reached out to this awesome graphic design firm, Rice Creative. They're local Saigon-based firm, and they welcomed me in sort of as an apprentice. So I did a lot of like teaching myself, and then I learned a lot working with them. But that kind of wrapped up, and now I'm excited to go back to the U.S. and see what else I can come up with.
One of the projects you've been working on since you came here, you've been taking pictures.
Yes.
And that culminated in a way this last week. You had an opening at Observatory.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Right, so I began my love for, I guess, like the visual arts with photography. So I always carry around with me my little point and shoot 35mm camera. It's the Olympus Stylus Epic. What I love about this thing is you can just kind of shoot from the hip and it does everything for you. It's my favorite camera to take traveling with me, and it's been crucial to this project because a lot of my shots are very spontaneous, like of local people who don't necessarily know that they're being photographed, and that's part of it. So I've been taking photos over the past 6 months, and as kind of a challenge to myself, I wanted to put something out in print to work on my design skills. So then this is what I've come up with.
And you described it to me last week as a zine.
Right. I wasn't really sure what to call it. It's not going to have a second and third edition or anything, but it's a publication in print. I wouldn't call it a book. So I thought, why not zine? I got it printed with the local Saigon print shops, which are always a treat to go to. Just on regular computer paper, and just wanted to practice some layout stuff, so why not do it here when it's less expensive than it is to get things printed back home.
You were capturing these images and sharing them on the internet before compiling them into this kind of curated work.
Yeah.
What kind of sites were you using to share your work?
I rely largely on Tumblr. I do have my own website, amandakievet.com, but and I did keep kind of a collection of my favorites on my website in a gallery, but as I was shooting, I'd get a roll back from getting developed and post a few online right away on my Tumblrs for my followers to keep up to date. I occasionally used Instagram, but I usually keep that more with my digital photos and just use the Tumblr and my own website, which is a WordPress plugin site if you're interested, for my 35mm stuff. How
do you go from physical to digital, because you're sharing them online?
In Saigon it's really easy. The world of 35mm analog film is still semi-alive here, so there are many shops where you can get cheap film. Developing is cheap, so I shoot the roll, drop it off, they develop and scan it for 60,000 Vietnam dong, which is
$3?
Yeah, $3, and the scans aren't bad, so they scan it for me. Back home I scan my own film with a flatbed. So they scan it, I put it on a USB, and it's on my computer. Do a little bit of editing, just light with this project. I hardly did editing at all. And then I upload them to the various channels.
For you, what's the difference in the process of you can't preview the image that you've taken, you can't review it immediately afterwards, and you have a finite number of shots you can take before changing it out. Why do you like working like that?
I love it. It's two completely different things. I started with digital back when I used to do music blogging. It was nice for shows because you could just take as many photos as you wanted. But then moving to film, I started changing what I shot because of the limited number of exposures. You have to keep in mind what speed film you have in at the moment, and you can only shoot with that speed film. So right now I believe I have Kodak Gold 400. So 400 I can shoot in a little bit lower light than if I was shooting a 200 speed film. So I take that into account before taking any photos. And I guess, you know, the basic answer to that question is it makes you slow down a lot when you're shooting. And I kind of like remember my experiences more in terms of photos that I have shot on film. And I never did that with digital before. Even if the roll gets ruined, which has happened to me before, I still like remember when I shot like each frame. So they're more precious, the shots, definitely.
In putting together the layout for your exhibit and for this zine, what would be the number one thing that you learned?
Oh, I learned a lot. I did a lot of research about like good ratios to use, and you know, the golden ratio and Fibonacci sequence, and I was trying very hard to make it a geometrically like sensible layout, and so I did a lot of research looking at magazines and seeing how they did their layouts. And so I guess the number one thing would just be general rules in geometrically pleasing designs. So, you know, making sure that, for instance, you know, this is a golden ratio right here, how the page is divided and where I have the margins. So playing around with that instead of just kind of throwing things together and saying, I think it looks nice, like having a reason behind it. And the second thing would just be InDesign. I designed it all using InDesign, the Adobe software, and I had no previous experience with that.
So your plans once returning back to the States?
Plans are to hang out with my family for a while. I'm from Wisconsin originally, and so I'll be going back to a very cold, late winter there, trying to study up on graphic design and ultimately pursue that once I move out to New York in April. So New York City, maybe school, maybe not, hopefully not.
One other question I had was, this is a bit out of order,
Sure.
but how did the observatory showing come about?
Oh yeah, it's great. Well, I've only been here, as I said, for 6 months, and in that amount of time, the observatory opened its doors, and they've been doing a lot of cool exhibits there. I knew the guys that opened it and have kind of followed them throughout the months, and so when I was thinking about this project, I thought, well, I should backtrack. Like I mentioned, I used to do music blogging and photography and such, and one of my favorite things was putting on concerts. And I learned that it's actually really easy to reach out to people, and they'll generally help you do things you have, you know, ideas to do. So I thought, why not throw a show in Saigon featuring this work before I leave as kind of like another challenge to myself. So I contacted the guys at Observatory. They were super open to helping me out, and I mean, it was really easy. So I just basically shot them Facebook message and be like, yeah, cool, what day do you want? And came in and set it up the day of. It was really not that much of a hassle. That's what I love about Saigon. It's a lot of young people doing a lot of cool things, and you don't have to be like the world's best like traveling photographer to do shows here. So I don't know if that answers your question.
That's perfect answer. I guess that wraps it up.
Great.
For the interview.
Great.
Thanks for talking with us, and best of luck on the next part of your journey.
Thank you.